Alright, we've got 2 more games to talk about, starting with Game 23 against the Detroit Red Wings. The Canucks looked a bit sluggish to start this one, but considering this game started at 9:30 in the morning for some reason, I don't blame them. But it didn't even matter because Kevin "the Tank" Lankinen was doing everything he could to keep his half-asleep teammates in the game. When Carson Soucy got called for hooking, giving the dangerous Detroit power play a chance to open the scoring, Lankinen went brick wall mode on the penalty kill, stopping not 1, not 2, but 3 great scoring chances for the Red Wings. He basically killed the penalty off himself. And when Noah Juulsen turned the puck over in front of his own net, spanking him Lankinen was right there in perfect position to bail him out. Even when he had 5 different players screening him, Lankinen was still able to stop the puck from hitting the mesh. However, the Red Wings did eventually open the scoring, but it wasn't the Lankinators' fault. They just got a super lucky bounce and capitalized on it. 1-0 Detroit. The first Canuck to wake up, aside from Kevin Lankinen, was obviously Connor Garland. Here he is working his ass off trying to make something happen in the offensive zone, and while he didn't score here, he did draw a penalty, earning Vancouver their first power play of the night. Or morning, I guess. And then, already up a man, Elias Pettersson drew another penalty, giving the Canucks a 2-man advantage to start the second period. Nice. And it gets even nicer.
Puts it in front, they score! Jake DeBrusk, wrist shot, stop, DeBrusk scores again!
Yeah, the Whale team cashed in on both power plays thanks to 2 quick goals from Jake Shake and Bake DeBrusk. 2-1 Vancouver! Now, we need to talk about our boy Nils Höglander. Coming into this game, Big Hog hadn't scored in 17 games, and spoiler alert, he didn't score in this one either. And it's not like he's been piling up the assists during that time. In fact, he only has 2 points in his last 18 games. But scoring isn't everything. If a player's killing penalties, forechecking hard, and doing the little things right, a coach can live with a slump. The issue with Höglander, though, is that he's been struggling to find consistency across the board. And with players like Kiefer Sherwood and Pius Suter stepping up in big ways to provide offense, Big Hog's role on the team is kind of fading away. Plus, the Canucks were already in the market for a defender to start the season, but now that Filip Hronek's out with an injury, the pressure to make a move has skyrocketed, and Höglander's name has emerged as a viable trade chip for if and when Patrik Allvin decides to pull the trigger on a deal. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. We're just going to have to wait and see.
To hear more of Nuckhead's thoughts on the Höglander situation, catch a new episode of the Nuckhead Podcast tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on the Nuckhead Podcast YouTube channel. Don't miss it. Seriously, don't miss it. If you miss it, I will hurt Nuckhead. I will hurt him bad, and his blood will be on your hands. In fact, go subscribe to the Nuckhead Podcast channel just to be safe. Thanks, everyone. Now let's get back to the game.
Höglander took a bad penalty while forechecking in the offensive zone, and despite the lanky man's best efforts to kill it off himself, the Red Wings were able to cash in and tie the game. Actually, they scored right as the penalty ended, but regardless, they still had a man advantage when the puck went in. 2-2, tie game. By the way, this was a special game for Max Sasson because the Red Wings are his hometown team, and he reportedly had over 100 friends and family in the stands to watch him play. Unfortunately, he didn't end up scoring his first NHL goal in this one, which is what I was hoping for, but he did draw a penalty, which is great for a young guy trying to stay in the lineup. Although the only thing that happened during that power play was Connor Garland getting smoked in the ear with the puck, so whatever. Dakota Joshua made a great play along the boards, freeing the puck up for Pius Suter to skate down the ice and blast past Ville Husso to put Vancouver back up by 1 heading into the third period. But 2 minutes into the third period, Elias Pettersson got called for hooking, allowing Detroit to tie the game back up with the man advantage. However, Vancouver's coaching staff thought Lankinen may have been pushed in the crease before that puck crossed the line, so they challenged for goaltender interference, but after a lengthy review, the referees determined it was a clean goal and the Canucks were handed another penalty, this time for delay of game, but they were able to kill it off thanks to a handful of beautiful saves by Kevin Lankinen and Noah Juulsen, who I think may have taken one right in the Juulsens. Ouch. 3-3, tie game.
Puck thrown across, Tarasenko scores!
4-3 for the Red Wings. Connor Garland got crushed by Jeff Petrie. Quinn Hughes is the best player in the world. Carson Soucy dove out to headman the puck. And then there's Eric Brandstrom. What a steal this guy is! He had another great game defensively and topped it off with a beautiful goal to tie the game with 3 minutes left in the third period. And for the second straight game, the Canucks were tied 4-4 heading into overtime. And we all know what happened, but it was so gorgeous, let's just watch it again.
Pettersson moving it. DeBrusk with him, takes the drop beat. Jake DeBrusk shoots, he scores! Hat trick! Jake DeBrusk DeBrusk.
I know you guys are gonna think I'm just kidding, but when that goal went in, I was in the middle of cleaning my cat's kitty litter, and obviously I raised my hands in celebration and started running around the room as you do when the Canucks score in overtime, but the problem is I didn't put down the kitty litter scoop and I ended up getting my cat shit and all over the house, and the worst part is I was having my family over for dinner at the time, and they were all so mad at me, and I feel terrible. I really do. Anyway, on to Game 24 against the #1 team in the league, the Minnesota Wild. Nils Höglander looked a lot more confident in this game, and his hard work paid off just over 7 minutes into the first period when he drew a penalty, giving the Canucks a power play. And on that power play, Quinn Hughes pumped one past Filip Gustavsson to make it 1-0 Vancouver. Quinn Hughes is playing so well right now, I want to scream. Not only was this the final game of Vancouver's 6-game road trip, but they came into this one without two of their best players, JT Miller and Filip Hronek, in the lineup, and yet they were the better team for most of the night. The Canucks did an excellent job neutralizing the NHL's leading scorer Kirill Kaprizov every time he was on the ice. He was given no space to operate, and when he did eventually make it onto the score sheet, it wasn't for a goal or an assist, it was because he took a penalty. However, after killing that penalty, the Wild's third line stepped up and tied the game thanks to this snipe from Frederick Gaudreau. 1-1. Then Carson Soucy got called for tripping, giving Minnesota their first power play of the night, but instead of, trying to score, they just started attacking everybody. It was quite strange, honestly, and in the midst of all that chaos, Joel Eriksson Ek caught Kiefer Sherwood with an extremely illegal hit, but no penalty was called. However, I'm not complaining, because if it happened the other way around, I'd probably be cheering, but when you compare that hit to the one that got Quinn Hughes booted from a game a couple of weeks ago, it's hard not to scratch your head. Anyway, Vancouver killed the penalty off, and that's when it hit me. I think we're starting to see how good this Canucks team really is. Think about it. They're without 3 of their best players. Drama and trade rumors are circulating the team on a daily basis. This is the final game of a 6-game, 2-week-long road trip, and they're up against the first-place team in the league. Of course, no self-respecting athlete, or anyone for that matter, would give up at a time like this, but sometimes it happens subconsciously, especially if you know you've got a comfy plane ride home waiting for you. But the Canucks stayed focused and met pressure with pressure. On his very next shift, Sherwood came out and demolished Ben Jones, and then Pettersson and DeBrusk teamed up to put their team back up by 1 heading into the third period. It's beautiful! Minnesota tied the game a minute and a half into the third period. 2-2. The Wild started taking advantage of a tired Canucks team, hitting them every chance they could. Sasson got plastered, Brandstrom got bonked, Juleson got dumped, Middleton cross-checked Pettersson after the whistle, but Petey just laughed it off. Sherwood got attacked at the bench, but Minnesota didn't score, and for the third straight game, the Canucks were headed to 3-on-3 overtime. Now, I haven't really mentioned Kevin Lankinen too much in this game review, and that's because he had kind of a bad game. Psych! He was stellar again! This dude is incredible! Look at this save! Look at that save! You just got Kevin! He's making killer stops on the penalty kill too? Wicked! Another solid save here. And if it weren't for Mr. Kevin Lankinen, this game would have been over 25 seconds into overtime. Down at the other end of the ice, the Canucks were doing everything they could to try to get one past Filip Gustavsson, but unfortunately, he's also pretty good himself. And then Brock Boeser hit the post, and I punched myself in the face 17 times. Because after Boeser hit the post, Minnesota took the puck and won the game. And of course, it was Kirill Kaprizov who scored the goal. I'm embarrassed to tell you what I did with the kitty litter after that happened. The Canucks now have a record of 13-7-4 and are currently sitting in 9th place in the entire NHL, so I'm not worried. In fact, the Vancouver Canucks are good. Don't forget it. If you want a chance to be shouted out in my next video, comment your score predictions for the next 3 games against the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the St. Louis Blues. If you get it right, you'll be in the next video, but make sure you format your comment like this or I won't count it. Thanks to these amazing Nuckheads for supporting what I do by clicking the join button and becoming members of the channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye. Click one of these links if you want to keep watching my crazy Canuck content. On the left is my Season 2 playlist that has every single one of the videos I've made covering the Canucks 2024-2025 season, and on the right is just a random video YouTube's recommending to you from my channel. So click one of them if you want to keep watching.